You're listening to a DM podcast.
What they said.
Coming up on today's show, Naomi shares how we should be embracing and bringing the sexy back in mum and dad bods in Naomi's Wifey Lifey.
In Lou's dating diary, we have a special edition and we will have a look and see if she managed to score a date in Brisbane.
In a special two-part series, we'll be exploring the topic of consent and what that means in modern dating in Question of the Week.
In our special Perfect Match edition this week, did Lou use her journalistic prowess in getting the lowdown on single men in Brisbane, or did she end up in jail?
We'll shall see all that and more in this week's show. Hey Naomi, all the way from Brisbane, Vegas.
Hello Lou, how's it all going up there?
Oh, it is so hot. The humidity here is making my hair frizz.
So this week we've got a shorter edition of our show since you're away.
And busy trying to get the lowdown. I'm doing my best, people.
So let's get ready to rock and roll.
Let's get cracking.
Wifey Lifey.
So this week I'm going to be talking about embracing and bringing the sexy back in mum and dad bods.
I'm bringing sexy back. Dun, dun. I hope we don't get sued.
No, it's just one of those JT songs that rock, isn't it?
Oh, it was awesome. And he's like, yeah, and the other song you did that rocks. Well, yeah. Rock your body. Sorry, right. We
can't get sued yet, Lou. We can't get sued. We don't have that much money.
What do you mean? Like,
well, I guess, when I first started dating, I was in my 20s. It was pre-children body. I was nice and trim, buff. And I wasn't buff, but I was trim.
I've seen your pictures, Naomi. You're a buff, man.
Gravity didn't take effect then. And I think the biggest concern for me after my marriage ended was, going out there dating and competing, I guess. I felt that there was a competition between me and 20-year-olds. 3 children later, my body wasn't the same.
No, it's true, though. Look, I started feeling that way as well, considering, look, a lot of people know I had some health issues. I had cancer and I had to have a hysterectomy, which gave me full-blown menopause at age 42. And what comes with that is a middle tummy and all this other jazz. So I just put on loads of weight. So now I've got to work hard with it. And hence why I said, let's do this 8-week challenge, which I sort of fell off whilst I'm in Brisbane. But anyway, let's not talk about that too much. But I see your point. And the thing is, we should really embrace and celebrate the fact that what we've had to go through, in order to, we're still here. We're still fit and, I'd say we're fit and fabulous.
Yeah, I reckon we're still fit and fabulous and 40.
I may not be able to run as fast for the bus anymore, but,
But I'm sure if we put a line behind you, you'd run very fast.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure if somebody said, here's $1 million, run. I'd be like, okay. Here's some sponsorship, run.
There'll be no problems there. But the biggest thing for me was, finding stretch marks in places I never knew I had. And there were bits hanging out, in areas that weren't supposed to, the great, wonderful side boob and the arms, almost like the tuck shop arms.
We always say that. Even when we do pictures, we're looking through the pictures like, no, we've got a fat arm here.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a confidence blow, and gravity just has taken on full force, I think, after you've had kids as well. Things just sag in all the wrong places. So that was a bit of I don't know, I did suffer a little bit of a confidence issue then. And then I figured after I dated a while that I just don't think people cared. If you are confident in yourself and you own it, then then nobody really paid attention.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had my son when I was 35, and I don't know what it was, but I was super lucky. I didn't put on any weight. I was still a size 10 even when I was pregnant. If you looked at me head on, you wouldn't see any difference until I turned sideways. I mean, I got this this bump. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. I was super lucky. And it was, as I said, and then years later, again, I was super lucky. So, the stretch marks thing. But going with guys, do you think it's different with guys though? Because guys seem to embrace their man bod, right? You hear it all the time. You don't hear women go, oh, because we're a bit obviously self-conscious and stuff. I think they embrace it a bit more better than, say, women.
I I think so. There's almost like a celebration of the dad bods, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that we joke about it in Sydney Friends.
I like a dad bod.
Yeah, I think it's a realistic expectation.
But why is it? This is the thing, though. Okay, why when it comes to dad bods, we're like, it's something I wouldn't say celebrate. We're more sort of inclined to go, oh, okay, that's sexy. It's a dad bod. Da, da, da. But when it comes to us women, we're like, oh no, we need to be all taut and tight and like a 20-year-old. Like, where did that come from? Was that from us women?
Yeah, I think, that it probably comes a lot from what the beauty industry expects women to look like. And it does come across in the ads for makeup, underwear. I mean, like a lot of the companies now are actually using different body shapes, which is fantastic. And we do need to celebrate women's bodies irrespective of whether we're tall, short, on the plump side, on the thin side. I don't think that women just get so much slack. If you're too thin, people will say, well, aren't you eating anything? You're big and you're a larger size women, then it's like, oh, well, have you tried dieting? And there's just so much pressure on women to look a certain way, to be a certain age, to wear, makeup to a certain extent, that I think that it's so easy to get caught up in that.
I remember when Victoria's Secret changed their models and to make it more inclusive, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal and celebrated and stuff, but they got a lot of backlash from it.
Yeah.
From, like, dare I say it, some of the guys go, oh, well, it used to be a celebration of beautiful women's bodies. And I'm like, really? It was something for you to curve at. I mean, let's face it, when women come in all different shapes and sizes, they don't look all like Gazelle, right? Or Bella Hadid, right? You know what I mean? And we all, as women of all shapes and sizes, and I love lingerie, even when I was a little bit bigger or now thin again, it's like we all wear lingerie. So why shouldn't it be inclusive to women of all shapes and sizes?
I agree most definitely. Like the thing is that for women to have a certain body shape, I think there's just been so much pressure over the years. It is good to see that companies are actually taking on more realistic shaped women, really celebrating our bodies, and it is coming across, in underwear ads. It's coming across in everyday makeup, like even women of different ethnicity is coming through a lot more. Before it was very typecast. Now, we are getting representation of women of colour coming through in fashion, in beauty, and that has decreased a lot of the pressure, I guess.
There was a time when I couldn't find foundation for me. It was either dark, light, but there was like obviously 75,000 shades in between, right? But there wasn't anything. You're like, what is going on?
And me having that Asian complex where it is an olive one as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the faces used to be quite pink, so I'd end up looking like a vampire. Like really pale or really brown,
Yeah.
There wasn't that in between, and so that was difficult too. But things are changing, and I think as we get older, we're actually accepting our body a little bit more. And you come to the age also where you just go, I don't give a rat's ass.
Look, you didn't even have to. Chris doesn't even have to beep that.
I don't have to, I don't care what people think anymore. And I think after your head can actually get across that hurdle in your head, everything is fine. And you can celebrate your body, and you do celebrate every stretch mark you have, because after all, every stretch mark represents one of my children.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because, like, as I said, with the whole dad bod thing,
Yep.
It's like, women, we're the ones who had to carry the kids and stuff. So, it's understandable that we would put on weight and stuff. So, I can't fathom it. But then again, for the guys, it's like the whole height thing as well, right?
Mm.
Like, there is an ideal, you got to be this 6 foot tall, dark and handsome hunk. Right?
And I think that we sometimes probably think men expect a certain body type, but after talking to a lot of men, they are actually that sort of like not on their list of criteria, that they don't actually look for that physical part, after.
Most guys say to me that they like curvy girls.
Yeah, and they also say that they do love women who are confident in their skin.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're
Yeah.
thin, tall, short, whatever, as long as you're confident in how you are and appear, then you could be, you light up the room. It doesn't matter what you look like, stuff.
Yeah. So after you've dated a little while, it does improve, I guess, and you do become more confident in embracing your body.
Yeah.
But initially, there's always that insecurity.
So everyone, if you're listening to this, okay, embrace yourself. Embrace your inner god or goddess. And gosh knows, we know a lot about inner gods and goddesses.
That's right.
After last week's party, embrace that. You're fierce and you're, gorgeous, whatever size you are.
Lou's Dating Diary.
Well, as you guys all know, I'm here in lovely, hot, warm, humid Brizzy to see if I can score a date. And you know what? I did.
Oh, well done, well done, well done. Tell us more about this date that you scored up in Brisbane.
Well, you may have seen on my, if you follow me on Facebook and also on Insta, or if you follow What They Said, our Facebook group, you would have seen that I was on Bumble. I messaged somebody messaged me and we arranged to meet, and he sent me his telephone number. And he sent me his telephone number, and I was like, oh, cool, to get off the Bumble app. So I messaged said number, and this person messaged back going, yeah, this isn't Steve. And I'm like, oh, this is the wrong, hey, Lou, it's the wrong number. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. And they were like, oh, I wish you all the best with, good luck. And I was like, oh, thanks for that. It's not going to go, it doesn't seem to be going too well considering this happened. and then this other person, this random person sends me this Buddha quote, bless them, and it was very, very sweet. So I went back on said app and said, hey, is this really your number? Because it's wrong. And it turned out he, fat fingers, put the wrong digit in there. And so we ended up chatting and meeting for coffee.
So how did that date go? Like, what are Brisbane men like?
I was pleasantly surprised. I went in there thinking it's going to be another Benny here. I was not expecting much, I'll be honest.
We didn't even have a my house is on fire ready code.
I was all the way in Brisbane. I don't know what you were going to do. But walked in and he was exactly like who he said he was going to be.
No way.
I know. I was absolutely shocked. Yeah, I was shocked. So I was pleasantly surprised. And he was really, really funny. Just, really easygoing, easy to talk to. Stayed for 2 coffees and I was bounced off the walls by then because I just kept on ordering iced lattes. And so by the time I had to leave, I was like, yeah. But yeah, it was awesome. He was good and we're still chatting.
Oh, lovely. And did you tell us? Did you tell him about our wonderful podcast?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? And
I did. And bless him, he seems to be doing God's work and spreading it out there because, he did listen to it on the way back.
Awesome.
So he left because I had to go do something else and he had to go do something else. And then he messaged me later going, just listen to your podcast. It's beeping hilarious. So that was good. And then he was telling me about how people in Brizzy sort of meet up. And basically they go on that app, that online thing called Meetup. So over there, and I looked into it, it is all about the meetup. So I think here in Sydney, we put more stock on the apps, right?
Yeah, we do. Like, there is more stock on the apps in Sydney, most definitely. And I think that that's sort of like made people a little bit more lazy as well in coming out and meeting people in real life. We do have meetups in Sydney, and I was part of a couple of meetups.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was. And I did go on a couple of organised events that they did. The issue that I found there was that the age spread was too wide. So in my 40s and I went out, I had 2 camps, people in their 20s and then people in their 60s. So there wasn't a lot of people in between, So it was good to meet people, most definitely, but I don't think that it was a dating playground, if that makes sense.
Wow, well, in Brisbane, it's completely different, I tell you. What I liked about it, so we actually went to a meetup, right? Me and my friend who lives in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get her on the show. So she lives in Brisbane. She's a good mate of mine, and so we went. She said to me, "Yeah, here it's all meetups. You know, we go on the meetups." I was like, "What's up with these meetups?" You know, it's and not only that, it is lit. And even this Steve guy sent me a whole heap of like meetups. He goes, "This is when we go out for your podcast. You should go to some of these things. There's all these things, right?"
Yeah, right. So he even pointed you in the different direction.
Oh yeah, he said, yeah. And funny enough, because there was one night I was so tired because I was working, etc. And next morning he was like, "So did you go?" I'm like, "Nah, I was too tired." He goes, "I just did all this work and I sent you tons of stuff." To go out, bless him, right? But so we decided to go out on Saturday night. So we decided to go to one of these singles meetups. It was in a really nice bar in the centre of Brisbane. It was like literally a few minutes where I'm staying currently. And everyone was dressed to the nines, proper. And everyone was like mingling, talking to each other, chatting. It was just like, how you used to go out with your mates?
Yeah.
And get and then you're dancing and stuff, and there's people there looking at it. It was just like that, and I loved it.
No way. It's like you walked into a different time zone or a time warp, right?
Yeah. It was just like, and everyone was super, even the girls, the other ladies were super friendly and stuff. I mean, like a load of mates and stuff, and who we added on Facebook and everything, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, it was such a nice vibe, right?
So
I was there, and I knew that this Steve guy was going to a singles thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking, I was walking by the bar, and I look up and I see it. We looked at each other, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is what you were talking about. This is the thing that you were coming to." And he goes, "I thought you were going to a speed dating thing," and I'm like, "I thought this was a speed dating thing." I was like, I don't know what to expect. So we all hung out, and then he introduced me to a load of people because everyone gets to know each other, and do become good mates. A bit like Sydney Friends, I guess.
Yeah.
And so introduced me to a couple of men and women, and and that was fun as well. And I was telling them about the podcast, and they were really super interested in the podcast, and they were, "I want to be on it too." And then after that, so we all had a great time there. And then it was a case of like, and then the girls were like, "Oh, do you want to come to another place, like to this Irish pub?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I love my Irish guys. I mean, God,
yeah, you and your Irish guys, right?"
Yeah. So we go there, and that was a laugh. That was a bit different. You know how you go out and guys will come up and dance for you and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, right.
So there was always random guys who were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start talking to you, I'm gonna dance with you." But there was one guy who was really aggressive, which I guess will tie into the whole consent thing that we're gonna be talking about in Question of the Week. So he was dancing, and then he grabbed my hand to dance. So I thought, it's fine, right? That's cool. We'll all having a laugh. And then he was like grabbing hold of me, and then he tried to kiss me, and you could see the look on my face. Steve was just gone to go get a beer or something, and he comes back, and he sees a look of sheer horror in my face, and he grabs me and goes, "Let's go over there to the other side of the room and stuff." And so we go over to the other side, and he goes, "Oh my God, he was apologetic." He goes, "I am so sorry about that. Not many guys are like that here. We're not all like that." And I'm like, "Why are you apologizing?"
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, like, it was really nice that he scooped in to help you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we stayed there for a long time, and then we came back, and we were just chatting like about stuff like that, like how crazy it is, and how there are some guys who would try and do that, and it is about whoa, and he goes, "Jesus," it's like you could see him, he was just swooping in there like for a kiss or something. He was swooping in for a kiss, and I was like, "I know." So that was that, and it was like far out. But no, it was that happened, and also and as I say, we're still chatting. Oh yeah, and he also said that next time we'll definitely do dinner, he'd cook dinner and stuff, and and I said if you ever come to Sydney, the offer's there. Yeah, I'll do the same. So yeah, it was absolutely lovely. And then there was another guy I was talking to. Nothing came about it because I went out on Saturday night. And ended up getting back into my apartment quite late on Saturday night. And what I notice about guys in Brisbane is that they genuinely are looking for a relationship.
Okay.
A little bit different. Yeah. Because when I said, "Oh yeah, I'm sort of half and half in between, like Brisbane, I come to Brisbane all the time, they were like, "Oh, I really wanted someone who is here 100% of the time because I want to make a life with them." Seriously, none of this, oh, she's here in Brizzy, I could do a booty call. Hey, wicked, right?
So the outlook and the expectations is very different to Sydney.
Very
I mean, you get sort
I
of
wasn't
like,
expecting that. I
yeah,
wasn't, especially with Brisbane. You know, when people say, "Oh, Brisbane, Vegas, etc." You know, it's like, oh, what stays in, you know, it's a party, hearty town, and the nightlife there is lit. It is fun. It is like all that jazz. But I don't know. It's just weird, right? It just seems to be a bit more of a respect thing. Like literally, yeah. People text you. People say they will text you. They will text you.
they will text you. Oh, that's awesome. Did they know that you were from Sydney, or you think that they were felt like they were genuinely interested?
Look, I think they were genuinely interested because the way they were messaging, like they were genuinely asking about me, asking like, and you know how a bit like what you were saying about Hinge. You know, like where, you know, when where you got pictures or you put some good profile, or whatever, they will reference. It's like they've read the actual profile or they saw the picture and they would reference stuff in there. They take more interest in you, and the way they make the first move is by literally referencing something about either in your picture or in your profile, or whatever. And I never got a, hey, how are you? It was like, hey, oh, how did you get to see Craig Foster? I'm really interested in that. Or like, oh, what was that? God, why are you dressed up as Cupid?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So people are generally interested in the other person as opposed to it's a numbers game.
The caliber of first responses was like, I'm not no word of a lie. I'd say 90% better. It seems to me that there was more effort.
Oh, awesome! So does it mean that you're going to take?
Sorry, Sydney guys. Yeah, you can learn something from your brethren up in Brisbane, right? And Gold Coast, actually. So I've got a good few people from Gold Coast as well. I would love to spend, like, if not all my time up there, because the weather's lovely as well. But obviously, I can't leave my Naomi.
Yeah, that's right.
Not anytime soon. Right. But we definitely should do a Brisbane Vegas special up there. Definitely. There's a lot of lovely single men and women that we can. And they even said, they were like, can you please do an episode up here and help us? Because, you know.
We must bring the podcast to Brisbane then.
I think we shall have to bring the podcast to Brisbane. So watch this space, Brisbane Vegas. We're coming to get ya.
Question of the week.
So this week, in a special two-part series, we will be exploring the topic of consent and what it means in our modern dating. So, Lou, what do you think?
Well, it's like what I said earlier. There are some people who think they are still entitled to go all caveman on you, right? Just because either you're out dancing and, you know, you're having fun, you look a certain way, and they just swoop in, and you're like, "Whoa, mate!" You know, it's like, you know, I don't know. Either it's a mentality, either it's you can't do that. I was just, I was even just dancing on the dance floor, some random,
just like scooping. But that was one of my early qualifiers on any particular first date. I always used to let my date know that I would never kiss. I don't kiss on the first date, and that was just sort of like me setting my boundary.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes there was, sometimes there wasn't. But that was sort of like, I guess, my qualifier, and that I would always say that was the case. And, you know, we would end up either doing a meetup somewhere or sometimes a dinner. And it was always interesting, the men, there were some men who did try to push that boundary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had that when I first started back on the dating apps.
Yeah.
Just prior to starting to doing this podcast, actually, I went out on this date with this one guy, very professional guy, right?
Yeah.
We met in the Rocks for drinks, etc. And he was very, very, very full on. He tried to get me back into his hotel. And I was a bit merry and tipsy. And he was literally, I was trying to get to the cab, and he was actually dragging me the other direction back to his hotel.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I haven't really told many people that.
That's like almost like come back to my cave.
Yeah, literally, because he knew I was merry. It was pretty intense. You know, and I'm a big 45-year-old woman. I'm quite confident. I'm quite brash, etc. But even deep down, I felt a bit kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's quite intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And he was 6'3". He was way taller than me. Even
I mean, I've had dates where I've gone out, we've had a dinner, and sometimes you give a kiss on the cheek to say thanks for meeting up.
What, they just like turn their cheeks and just stick their tongue?
Yeah, they just grab you and then just, pop in a kiss, and you just go, oh, hang on, I didn't expect that. Or some would actually, someone, come on, darling, just give me a kiss.
Yeah, what's a kiss? What's the thing?
What's a kiss?
What gets me is when they go, we had such a nice time. We had such lovely dinner. Like that's okay then, right? Oh, right. So you bought a couple of drinks, so therefore I've got to do something. What? It's like, really, people, really?
The biggest thing that I'm finding in, I guess, today is that it is getting more publicity on the issue of consent and education as well. And I've got two older boys, and they go, they went to a boys' school, and it is something that is spoken to them a lot about, and it's something that I've reinforced at home as well. And I think the message is getting there. They know that unless it is a yes, everything else is a no, and stay off until you get the green flag, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, there's other things as well. It's not just even in dating. You could be at work or whatever, and somebody, gives you a hug, inappropriately, touches your face or something, right?
Yep.
And I've heard stories of this, like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a male, could be a woman as well, or just sort of grabbing hold of you, going, "Oh, look at your bum," or something, right?
Yep.
Like, and I think there's been a lot of that where women have been doing that to men. So I don't want it to be all men, right? It's not, okay? Like, there are some women who will like think it's okay to like touch up a guy. Yeah, it's the same thing.
And I think that this is another lesson for men as well. Sometimes men should be confident enough to actually say, no, that's not okay. I don't want that as well. I think
some men don't do that though, because you know why? Because they think that they're being a wuss or being like,
I think that again it comes back to that whole society thing where you've got a woman advancing on you and you're saying, oh, like, what kind of man does that? And I've seen that happen where another man might diss another man for turning down a lady, and that's not okay. Like, if it's unwarranted and unsolicited and he's not wanting it, most definitely he needs to say no.
Same thing. So it doesn't matter if it's like as full on as being dragged back to your, back to somebody's hotel or whatever. It could be, if it makes you uncomfortable, right? Therefore, there hasn't been consent given. If you're doing that to someone and they are looking really uncomfortable and they want to run away from you, it means you didn't have consent to do whatever it is that you did.
Yeah, did you see a couple years ago? But it's a wonderful clip, and it basically says, if you've invited someone for tea and they said, yes, I'll come over for tea, and you start making the tea, and then they turn around and say, I don't want the tea, you don't serve them the tea.
Yeah.
And it was a really good representation. It was a really good video clip about consent, but in the form of, what if, while you're making the tea, they've fallen asleep. Do they still want the tea? No, you don't give them the tea because they're asleep, And it was a very good clip that was cleverly done a few years ago. And it's always good to bring that to the forefront of conversations, about consent. And like you said, it's not just about whether it's a kiss or a sexual advances, but it comes down to, can I hug you? Can I give you a hug? Can I shake your hand? That people have the right to refuse.
Exactly. And that reminds me of a story that somebody recently told me, right? They went out for drinks, okay?
Yep.
And they were like, oh, can I show you a cab? And they're like, and she's like, yeah, sure, I guess so, right? And so they share a cab, and it was a case of like, oh, it's my place, right? And he gets out the cab with her. She's like, what? And he goes, oh, I wouldn't mind a nightcap. And she's like, fine, okay, look, we'll have a nightcap, it's fine, right? Okay, so I've got some like vodka or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Go in. She goes to the bathroom and comes back out, and he is laid naked on her bed. Yeah, I know, right? And she was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, oh, I just thought, and she was like, well, you thought wrong. Okay. It was like embarrassed about it and thought, shit, and I had a laugh about it. He got to put his clothes on and went his merry way. So it's a case of like, just because somebody invites you over for a nightcap, or even just like, if it doesn't necessarily mean sex is on the table. It's nothing. Or, another story that I heard recently was that somebody was like, oh, can I use your bathroom? Right. And it's like, okay, fine. You can't go to somebody who need to go for a pee, right? And the same thing, and they sort of lunged her. And you're like, God's sakes, when has wanting to use the bathroom became a euphemism for like, let's shag.
Wow.
I know, right? This is the perils of dating, Naomi. You don't get to see it. Yeah, exactly. It's like, even with my hotel thing, it's like I never
well, I guess it's just sometimes it's one of those topics that you don't really want to say it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's quite taboo. You don't just sort of like go, oh well, he tried to drag me back into like I think more and more we should actually.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, we should actually speak out about those situations where it isn't okay. That if you go out on a date and you do share a meal together, that it doesn't qualify you to be able to go, hey, you go in and grab that person for a kiss, or it's just not okay, and we actually have to call it out. And it's also not only that, but if they're actually in a situation where they see that happening, it is up to them as well to stand up against their mates. If their mates are overstepping that line, that they should be okay to actually pull their mates back and say, hey, that's a no-go zone. And I think that that's the other thing that we really need to promote, that men or women, that if they see that a situation is not okay, that we actually find the voice to say that's not okay. Because if by staying silent, you're actually part of the problem.
And I say this all the time. In part of my day-to-day work, I do a lot with diversity, gender balance, and equity and inclusion. And I champion that all the time, especially if you're working in a male-dominated, perceived as a male-dominated industry like what I work in my day job. And it's a case of like, and we say that if you see something, especially if you're a man, right? And because men, and it's like when I interviewed Craig Foster, he even said it. He said something really good. He goes, look, I'm a man, and I can, yes, I can open doors, but what we can also do is keep that door open. Yeah. For others. And I thought, wow, that's pretty profound. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
I thought, dang, that's that makes sense, right? And it's a case of like, and you should be able, if you see something, you should be able to, as man or woman, you should be able to speak up and say, you know what, that's wrong. And one thing I do like to call out is misogyny. And when people say, crap jokes about men or women, right? And it's not funny, but it's like, oh, it's just being a larrikin, it's just a fun thing, it's just fun. I'm like, no, it's not, because if you don't nip that crap in the bud, now people think it's okay for it to carry on saying it, and most people won't want to speak out because they seem to think that if I do speak out, I won't be part of the cool crew, or I'll be seen as starting trouble and stuff. And I think there is that fear, and that's probably why people don't want to speak up. It's a big topic, and we're going to explore it even further next week in regards to even 8%, right? Which is another big can of worms, I reckon.
Perfect match.
So, as you all know, I'm here in Brizzy, lovely Brisbane, Vegas. I've been on the hunt for single men.
How did that go? Did you actually approach people on the street? You went to the meetup. What else did you do? Did you, hopefully you didn't get arrested?
I didn't get arrested, otherwise, I'm still here, people. Didn't get arrested, but I had a lot of shy men, right? So you know how I said there's a lot of men looking for relationships, etc., that they definitely are. Well, do they want to go out and on a podcast that is going out to 60,000, we have 60,000 downloads of counting, right?
Yeah.
Out there to share that? No.
They weren't brave enough to do that.
No, they weren't brave enough to do that, but they did want to, they said, look, I'm happy to talk to you off the record, but I don't want to be recorded because of my job, because I don't want people to know. I'm like, wow, eh? Wow. But I can respect that, but they didn't call the cops on me, so that was one thing.
Oh, that's a positive. I didn't have to bail you out from Sydney.
Yeah, exactly. They were very, very wanting to, as I said, meet people. And I do definitely think, as I said earlier, we need to go to Brisbane, Vegas.
I think that's something we definitely got to plan. In the meantime, we are going to put out a call out for single men in Sydney to join Sydney Friends or to actually apply for our blind date segments when you're back in Sydney next week.
Yeah, look, we need more people for our perfect match. We need perfect men, perfect women for our perfect match. I need to buy a hat. And, and I miss it. I miss having that interaction with these two people and seeing if they had a great date. So tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell your hot personal trainer guy, right? Yeah. That we're looking for men to come on and have it's a free date for Christ's sake.
It's a free date by sponsored by Bella Vista Hotel, so you're not even having to worry about paying for the date. So we'll put the links on our Facebook page so that people can actually apply for these spots, and we'll do some matchmaking. So join up, and we're looking forward to doing our matches from next week.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, Naomi, look, even though I'm all the way here in Brisbane, it felt a bit different, but I'm so glad that we managed to record it.
Yes, we did record it. It wasn't the same, but we will do. It will work for this week.
Exactly. But look, I'm back next week anyway, so what will you be talking about?
Well, in my Wifey Lifey segment, I'll be talking about how to recognise that you're in a toxic relationship.
In my dating diary, I'll be sharing what else I've got up to in Brisbane, and also if I managed to find a date in Sydney. I doubt it though.
In our question of the week, we will continue with part 2 of our consent discussion in modern day dating.
And in perfect match, hopefully we'll have a perfect match couple. All that and more
in next week's show.
See ya!
See ya!